Hello everyone, and welcome to my BTG official channel. Betrayal has a strange way of circling back to its source, creeping like a shadow that refuses to be shaken off. For weeks, Bill had felt something was wrong. The taste of his coffee was different, the faint dizziness after dinner, the strange, hushed conversations between Hayley and Randy that always seemed to stop the moment he entered the room. At first, he dismissed it all as paranoia, an old man's mind twisting harmless coincidences into conspiracies. But the human heart, even in its frailty, has instincts sharper than logic. Bill's intuition screamed that the people closest to him, the ones who smiled at his table, who clinked glasses in his presence, were not who they seemed. Randy and Hayley had grown bold, their greed swelling with every secret meeting, every whispered plan. What began as a desperate scheme for money and freedom had turned into a web of lies so thick, neither of them could see a way out. Hayley, with her charm and cold ambition, convinced Randy that Bill's fortune was their ticket to a new life. "He's old," she would say, brushing her hair in the mirror, her eyes glinting with resolve. "He's lived his life, Randy. We could build ours, but not with him standing in the way." Randy, weak-willed and hopelessly in love, followed her lead. He thought of escape, of distant beaches and freedom from the weight of poverty. He thought of Hayley's promise that once Bill was gone, they would finally be together without fear. The plan was simple: poison Bill slowly, a little each day, until it looked like natural illness. Hayley had done her research meticulously. She learned about subtle toxins that left no trace, mixed them into tea and desserts, smiling sweetly as she served them. Randy watched with trembling hands as Bill drank. The first few days went smoothly. Bill complained of fatigue and nausea, and the doctor chalked it up to stress. The trap was working. They only needed to stay calm. But evil rarely hides quietly for long, and betrayal always leaves fingerprints. One evening, Bill's loyal friend Jacob came to visit unexpectedly. A journalist by trade, Jacob had an eye for inconsistencies and a gut for truth. He noticed Hayley's nervous glance, Randy's trembling hand as he poured drinks, and the faint chemical smell that lingered on the tablecloth. Jacob had been suspicious ever since he overheard Randy's strange call at the gas station weeks earlier. Something about the dose being ready. That night, as Bill began to feel dizzy again after his meal, Jacob's suspicion turned into certainty. He discreetly collected the leftovers from Bill's plate and slipped them into a bag. Later, he had them tested, and the results chilled him to the bone. The food was laced with poison. Jacob knew he had to act fast. He arranged a quiet meeting with Dr. Naomi, Bill's physician, who had also been puzzled by the strange pattern of symptoms. Together, they decided to stage a confrontation. Bill, pale and weakened but determined, insisted he wanted to face the truth himself. "If it's really them," he said quietly, his voice trembling more from heartbreak than fear, "I want to look them in the eyes when they confess." The following evening, the stage was set. Jacob had hidden a small camera in the living room, capturing every angle. Naomi was on standby with paramedics nearby. Bill invited Hayley and Randy for dinner, his voice calm, almost kind, as if he wanted to make peace. The two arrived, slightly nervous but reassured by the sight of the frail man they thought was nearing his end. Dinner began in uneasy silence. The clinking of cutlery echoed through the large, dimly lit room. Bill smiled gently and poured wine into their glasses. "I've been thinking," Bill began, his tone deceptively soft. "About family, trust, and how fragile life can be." Hayley smiled faintly, but her eyes flickered with unease. Randy shifted in his seat. "Funny thing," Bill continued, "when people pretend to care, they forget the details. Like how coffee shouldn't taste like almonds. Or how sugar shouldn't make you dizzy." Hayley froze. Randy's face turned pale. Jacob stepped out from the adjoining room, his phone already recording. "You might want to hear this," he said coldly, playing the lab's voice message confirming the poison. The color drained from Hayley's face completely. Randy dropped his fork, the clatter echoing like a death knell. "It's over," Jacob said. "We know everything." Hayley tried to regain her composure. "You're making a mistake," she stammered. We would never. Save it. Bill's voice thundered, cutting her off. His frail hands trembled as he slammed the table. I treated you like my own daughter, Hayley. You brought this snake into my home, and together you fed me death. His voice cracked, his eyes filling with tears that betrayed both fury and heartbreak. Randy stood up, his voice shaking. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Hayley said it was just to make you sick long enough to. To what? Bill spat. To take my money? To finish me off before I could change my will? Hayley turned on Randy, her mask shattering. You idiot. You said you'd keep your mouth shut. The argument exploded. Jacob signaled the hidden officers waiting outside. Within seconds, the door burst open. Police stormed in, guns drawn. Hayley screamed as Randy tried to run but slipped on the marble floor. Both were handcuffed, their plan finally crumbling into dust. As they were led away, Hayley glared at Bill with venom. You'll regret this, she hissed. We could have had everything. Bill stared back, tears rolling down his cheeks. You already had everything, he said quietly. You had my trust. The moment hung heavy in the air. Betrayal had come full circle, and now, its price was death. In the days that followed, the town was abuzz with the scandal. News outlets called it the Poison Legacy case. Interviews, headlines, and whispers filled every corner of the community. People were shocked that someone as kind as Bill could be targeted by those he loved most. Jacob's article exposed every detail, the manipulation, the greed, the lies, painting a haunting portrait of what betrayal looks like when it wears the face of family. Randy, broken and remorseful, confessed everything in custody. He admitted that Hayley had manipulated him from the start, promising love and a future that never existed. I thought we were in love, he said during his interrogation, his voice hollow. But she loved money more than she ever loved me. His confession sealed their fate. Hayley, cold and unrepentant, refused to speak in court. She sat stone-faced as the verdict was read, guilty on all counts. For Bill, survival came with its own burden. Physically, he recovered, thanks to Naomi's care. But emotionally, the scars ran deep. The poison had not just weakened his body, it had shattered his ability to trust. He spent long nights alone in his study, staring at the empty chairs across the dinner table, remembering the laughter that once filled that space. Now, there was only silence. Jacob visited often, ensuring Bill never forgot the strength it took to face the truth. You didn't just survive, Jacob said one evening, pouring him tea. You exposed darkness, and that takes courage. Bill smiled faintly. Courage, he murmured. Maybe. But it feels more like loss. Still, in that loss was clarity, a grim understanding that betrayal is a disease of the soul, and those who spread it eventually consume themselves. Hayley and Randy's love, built on deceit, had crumbled into ashes. Their punishment was not just the bars that confined them, but the